Welcome guys. So in our last lecture we have seen how to write XPath and CSS, correct? So in this video we'll see how to validate XPath or CSS accuracy. Okay, so first let me go back to our Facebook page and okay, first let me give you some real-time example so that it will be easy for you to understand what we're going to do in this lecture. Okay, so our requirement is, suppose you are automating 40 pages app, okay, and developer has suddenly changed some backend code developer has changed in 38 number page. Then what will happen? Just try to understand, if I change something in backend, okay, so automatically this field XPath or CSS will get changed automatically, correct? Right? If I change something in backend, definitely our XPath or CSS, old XPath and CSS will not work for this field if I change something in backend, correct? So suppose in 38 number page, developer has changed something, some object developer has changed, and because of that you need to come up with some new XPath or CSS. Okay, so let's assume that you came up with around 10 new XPath, okay, and you have already implemented all those new XPath in your script, and after running your new script you just saw that around 5 XPath worked, but rest 5 XPath is not working. That means the rest, because of rest, your 5 XPath, your script is failing. Okay, so my point is, can we overcome this type of situation? Like, can we validate our own XPath before implementing in our script? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I am trying to say that whatever test case I will write, okay, now we are getting XPath from browser tool, but in my next video we'll see how to customize our own XPath. Okay, but after customizing our own XPath, we don't know those XPath is correct or not. So my point is, can we validate our own XPath or CSS before implementing in our script? Okay, so that is my point. Okay, so let's see how to validate XPath or CSS accuracy. Okay, so first we'll see in Chrome browser, after that we'll see in Firefox browser. Okay, so first we'll take up this email or phone number field, and let's find out the XPath of this field. Okay, so we know how to find XPath for this field, correct? So right click on this blue highlighted line, just take your cursor on copy and copy XPath. Okay, so this is our XPath for this field. Okay, so how to validate? What is the rule for for XPath and CSS validation? So the rule is dollar x, this is for XPath validation. Okay, so rule is dollar x bracket and double quote. Within this double quote you have to copy this XPath. Okay, so before copy you have to change your uh, this double inverted comma with single inverted comma. Okay, remember this thing, this is not for XPath. Okay, when you validate XPath, that time only you need to change this double quote with single quote. Okay, remember this thing. Okay, just copy this XPath and paste it here. Okay, so this is how you need to validate. This is the way to validate your XPath. Okay, so now my point is, where we will validate this XPath. Okay, so let's go back to our page. You can see beside element one, console is there, right? Console, just click on console and you can see some text field here. Okay, so here you have to write the same way, dollar x bracket, within bracket double inverted comma, and after that just copy your xpath. Okay, just copy your xpath here and hit enter. Once you hit enter, you can see some lines. Okay, if it is like correct xpath, then only you can see length is 1. That means some like one validate one a correct field is present in your whole page, web page. Okay, so when you take your cursor on this field, you can see that your email or phone number field is highlighting. That means this is our correct xpath. Okay, this is our correct xpath. Do you understand? Okay, so now let's take and this is clear console button. If you click here, your all the console whatever you have written, it will go away. Okay, so now let's take this field. Okay, how to do, you know, right? So click on spy button, take your cursor on password field. You can see some blue highlighted line. Click on copy and click copy xpath. Just note it somewhere. Okay, so what is our rule? I will do it directly. Okay, so only the thing, just change double quote with single quote and just copy this xpath. Okay, now let's go back to our console and how to validate xpath. Dollar $x bracket double quote, within double quote just paste your xpath. Okay, see, you can see something, some line already came up, and just hit enter. You can see length is 1. That means something is present in this web page, and if you take your cursor on that, you can see it is highlighting password field. That means our xpath is correct. Okay, now let's validate css. How to validate css? Okay, so this css part we'll see in Firefox browser. Okay, so let's go to our Firefox browser and let's open Facebook. Okay, do you understand how to validate xpath? So now we'll try to validate css in this Firefox browser. Okay, same way, just right click on page, inspect element, take your spy button on email field, and one more thing, we already seen how to, you know, how to copy xpath and css from Chrome browser and Firefox browser, correct? So if you don't know, please watch my previous lecture. You can get to know how to validate or how to find out xpath and css through browser dev tool. Okay, so we have seen how to validate xpath. Now we will see how to validate css. Okay, so we already got a blue highlighted line, and if you right click on that, you can see copy and copy css selector. Okay, css selector. Okay, now go to console and you can see this text field. Okay, here we have to write our css to validate. Okay, so how to validate, we need to understand first. Okay, so this part is for xpath and now this part is for css. Okay, how to validate, this is our css, right, css selector. Now the rule to validate css is dollar bracket double inverted comma, and inside that hash email, which is our css selector. Don't give x here, x no need for css selector. Okay, so this is our css selector. This is how we need to validate css selector. So let's go back to our page and write dollar, then bracket double inverted comma, and what is our css selector? Hash email. Okay, just write hash email and hit enter. You can see we got some error over here. Okay, that means this is not our accurate CSS selector. Okay. Yeah, actually, I found what was the issue. My system security was not allow me to, paste anything over here. So I fixed that issue. And okay, so what we're doing to validate CSS in Firefox. Okay, so we are in salesforce.com. So now let's see how to validate CSS here in Firefox. Okay, so let's inspect this username field and let's take CSS. Right click on the blue highlighted line, take your cursor on copy and copy the CSS selector. Same way, go to console and here just write only dollar, no x. Okay, as I already mentioned, not x, only dollar for CSS selector. Okay, double inverted code and double inside double inverted code, just paste your CSS selector. If you hit an enter, you can see some object it came, and if you take your cursor on that, you can see your username is highlighting. Okay, so for dollar $x bracket double inverted comma is for xpath and only dollar this is for CSS. Okay, so you understood, right? Why we are validating our XPath and CSS, right? So before writing your XPath or CSS in your script, you can validate your XPath and CSS is correct or not. This way you can validate. Okay. So in our next lecture, we will see how to write your own customized XPath and CSS. Okay. So if you I hope you got all my points. If you don't understand, please reach me out at pratikkumarnag@gmail.com. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. See you in my next lecture. Thank you.